Hello, how are you? I'm Gwenera. I'm the founder of Enjoying Life Fully, and welcome to The Well. Enjoying Life Fully exists to empower, inspire, equip, and enrich teen girls and women in their lives to flourish and to live out their purpose and aspiration and dreams. And we do that in a number of ways. We do that through coaching, we do that through mentoring, we do it through light mapping, and we do it through different types of events that we host periodically, virtually, as well as live events to connect with women and to afford them opportunities to grow personally, professionally, spiritually, relationally, and different dimensions of life. So, again, I'm going to say welcome to the well. Tonight, our topic is going to be on self care and recharging, something that is significant and important to our wellness, both spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and relationally. And particularly, it's one of the areas that as women we sacrifice the most. So, tonight's gathering, virtually, we're going to be chatting it up on this topic. And we come to you not as perfectionists, not as women who are even aspiring towards perfection, but as a conversation. We're going to discuss, hopefully, with some laughter, maybe with some gems dropped, with some different perspectives and personal experiences regarding recharging and self care. And so please join the conversation. We welcome you commenting thereafter. We would love to engage with you and hear your perspective as well. And if you're interested in ever joining one of the wells, please do so. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on our website, enjoyinglifefully.com. Select the contact form, submit it, and we will be in touch with you to join us for one of our upcoming conversations. So this evening we have with us Cassandra, who is new to the well. We have Gianna and Brashay, who are team members of Enjoying Life Fully. So at this point, I'm going to pause. I'm going to ask each person, starting with Cassandra, if they'll introduce themselves. And as you introduce yourself, think of what it means to you to recharge. And if you just give us a brief description from your personal experience, if you want to define it, if something you learned. But when it comes to recharging personally, what does that mean to you? So we'll start with Cassandra, then we'll go to Brashay, and then we'll go to Gianna.
Hi, I'm Cassandra. When I think of recharging, I think of it's like a restart. You want to reset yourself.
Mm,
So, and it's usually because either you're tired, um, or you just need something to kind of give you energy, motivate you. Um, so from a physical point of view, recharging would be like taking baths in
mm,
Epsom salt.
Mm.
Um, that's a recharge. I tell you, it just relaxes me. I just get full of energy once I do that. Um, Also recharging can be just for me can be just taking some time away and just sometimes just lay down.
mm.
Uh, no TV, just lay down.
Ah,
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
significant because
yeah,
sometimes in the process of attempting to recharge, we still are going, we still are
yes,
connected, we still are actively involved in something. So that's a gem right there. Sometimes we'll talk about it a little bit more, but what I'm hearing you say is no TV. I'm going to add no digital, like removing it,
Mm.
all of that.
like the
So
okay.
yeah,
Because like for the past few weeks, I haven't really been watching TV a lot. Um, it's just been for like maybe on Sundays to
mm,
watch certain services, but just like watching regular shows that I normally do, I haven't. But I
mm.
find that I am recharging that way too.
Oh, awesome! Thank you,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah.
All right, so Brissette, tell us a little bit about yourself and what does recharging mean to you?
Hi, I'm Brashay. Recharging for me, when I hear recharging, I think of batteries, um, and some type of toy that, when you play with it, it needs to relax for a little bit, or else the batteries die out, and then you need to get
Mm,
new ones to make it work all over again. So for me, I'm starting to like outdoors more. like hiking, picnicking, walking. So that's kind of recharges my soul and me. For right now, it's something new that I'm experiencing.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Gianna.
So I'm Gianna. Recharging means to me is basically to recharge your battery, like whether it's a battery in a toy or something, or yourself. So, yeah.
Okay. So I love that there's some consensus in your definition and approach to recharging. And so one of the things I immediately thought of is hopefully the majority of us recharge before we get on E, because we all have devices. You talked about toys, and we know when we're getting to that point where we have nothing left to give. And whether that's emotionally, whether sometimes in our workspace or our work environments, we're running on E. It could be running on E even spiritually. You know, we just don't necessarily recharge in those capacities. So one of the things I think of is, you know, oftentimes you have to turn something off in order for it to recharge. So when you think about that, what are some of the ways? I heard you talk about ways that you recharge. What are some of the things, and Cassandra, you tapped on it a little bit with the TV. What are some of the things you feel that you withdraw from in order to recharge, or to, you know, kind of gain a little bit more energy and focus and momentum? That's for the floor, whoever wants to kind of tackle that or address it. What are some of the things that you feel like you eliminate or withdraw from in order to recharge?
I would say for me, not using my phone.
Ooh.
So recently, the past maybe 3 months, well, since quarantine happened, I would hike every weekend. They could be like 2-mile hikes to 12-mile hikes.
12
And that
miles?
whole time, yeah, I did 12 miles last Saturday, one of them. Yeah.
Wow. You're my shiro.
It wasn't planned.
You still a shiro. That's
And when I'm on those hikes, I have my phone and like my camera and stuff, because I'm really into taking pictures, but I'm only taking pictures. Like, I'm not going on texting. I'm not like surfing. Well, half the time you don't get any cell service, so that's another part of it. But it's so refreshing and so nice just to be disconnected from the world. It's an amazing feeling. And so like whenever I'm done with a hike, I always feel recharged. Like I could just do anything. Like that's my peace. That's my laying on the couch, not doing anything. Like I really enjoyed that.
Awesome. It's important that you identify what is significant for you in that regard too, because I believe that's part of the responsibility. We're going to graduate to self-care in a little bit, but I believe that's part of the responsibility in recharging ourselves, is knowing how we recharge. You know, what's going to renew us and what's going to refresh us. And very much like the name of this gathering, the well, we go to the well to drink, to receive, to fill our cup, to refresh ourselves, to renew ourselves. So similarly with recharging, that's necessary. So Brashea, Cassandra, did you want to add anything to that about what are some of the things that you kind of withdraw from or eliminate? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's just a question.
Over the last few days, I think I've been more into social media, and it's very draining. So I'm feeling like I really need to back away, probably deactivate. And then I feel like we're so virtual now. Sometimes like I'm on social media for longer than I need to be. And I feel so drained after I feel like I did like an 8-hour workday.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to step back from social media because it's very draining.
Yes. And the content, you know, as peaks and valleys. There are times where you select. So we have the responsibility to select who we want to follow, right? But when we're in this world where everything is in the moment, we become vulnerable to the perspectives of other people. We become vulnerable to how they want to express and live out life. And sometimes that's unhealthy. I was talking with someone this morning, and she mentioned how she literally went on to do a post. Like she went in to do a post. And she said, I made the mistake of scrolling. And she said, I found myself an hour later, now I'm trying to get out. Like
Yeah.
she had just went that deep. I call it the black hole sometimes. So
Mm.
both of your perspectives are so valid, and I believe kind of a common thread in all of us, especially with the reduction of social media and disconnecting. It's so significant to our well-being, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, uh, probably every dimension of life. It helps us just to not inundate ourselves with more than our capacity can manage, or things along that line. So thank you all for sharing that. So when you think of recharging and self-care, are they synonymous for you, and how do you see them as the same?
I,
I see.
I,
Oh. Go ahead,
Hey,
Cassandra.
ladies. Go ahead, ladies.
I don't, I don't see them as the same because recharging, like, okay, recharging, like I like to read books.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like another recharge.
Mm,
Um, and I like to ride bike, right? So I think
mm,
that's another recharge.
Hmm.
But self-care was like, when, like I said, I like to take a bath,
Mm.
or, let's say something like maybe get your nails done or
mm,
something
Mm.
like
mm.
that. So I don't see them as the same, but they can connect.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to read a definition of self-care. It
Okay.
says self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. And although it's something simple in theory, it's something we often overlook. How does that comment resonate with you?
Hmm.
Can you read it one more time? Sorry.
Sure, sure. So let me go back because I had it on the screen. Um, so self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. And although it's simple in theory, it's something that we often overlook. And so I know as a woman, I have intentions. I am intentional about incorporating self-care, if not daily, weekly, monthly. For some, they can endure longer without daily self-care habits. For some, they need more self-care habits, and it depends on your routine and what your season of life is. So when you hear that, how does that resonate with you? Particularly the part about it's something we often overlook. How do you feel you range in the prioritizing self-care for yourself?
I think I'm very high.
High, that means you are attentive.
Yes.
Okay. So give us some examples. Give us some examples of what you do to maintain that level of self-care.
For me, like I'm a foodie.
Mm,
So eating out, maybe once a month or twice a month, going to a place that's on my list that I want to, try. Not travel for food, but I will travel to a certain degree to
mm,
try new food. It could be as easy as going outside, hiking, spending time with my daughter. I love to do active things, so anything hands-on. Um, and I think that's important to me because I get enjoyment and fulfillment out of that.
mm.
So I kind of make that a priority.
Okay, good stuff. Anybody else want to have some tips or tools or gems regarding self-care and their approach? So, so let me add a little bit to that. I've learned over the years, I'm not going to say I was always good at self-care. What I begin to learn is that the better I am to those that I serve and to things that I lead
Mm.
or influence. And so prioritizing it is on my list just as is everything else. Now, recognizing our conditions are different right now. I don't have the liberty necessarily to choose the self-care um, habits that I
Oh, she froze.
you know,
Yeah,
I'm the
frozen.
spa once a week, and I am charged. I am good. Um, And so right now, part of that has been, how do I adapt now without being able to access the spas or being able to do some of those things? So for me, I don't start buying the face masks, and applying those at home. It is not the same, ladies. I'm gonna be real about that. It's not the same, but it is an element that allows me to feel like I'm treasuring myself. So maybe for self-care, that's what it means to me, is really treasuring myself. I heard you, Cassandra, when you talked earlier about the nail care and treating yourself. For me, it is treating myself to some of those things that I would probably typically just pass by and just ignore, because I'm in the trenches, because I'm just doing,
Right.
I'm doing. And so that's one aspect for me. So when you think about recharging and self-care, how do you define that for yourself? What do you set aside? What does that look like? What are some practical ways that, Cassandra, you mentioned taking a bath and then nail care and biking. Gianna, you talked about hiking, and just kind of withdrawing. Brashay, you talked about the eating out, and some other artistic or hands-on activities that you enjoy. How do you prioritize? What does that look like in the practical sense?
I say
Well,
at least maybe once a month. I try to plan a weekend or, weekday where I have designated time where this weekend is for what kind of I want to do to bring fulfillment and for me to enjoy. I think that's really important, because if you don't, you become burnt out, and you don't want to get to that point.
And so, Cassandra, you said something pointed earlier, that there's a bridge, or you said connected, between self-care and recharging. So as Brashay was just talking about, the fulfillment that she experienced and the burnout is when the recharging needs to happen. And the self-care is something that we're more intentional about. We're caring for ourselves. We hopefully don't allow ourselves to get to that burnt out on E, needing that withdrawal to recharge. So I'm appreciating all your comments and how they are connecting and creating a picture, if you will, of how recharging and self-care relate. Gianna, were you going to say something? I feel like I interrupted you.
No.
Oh.
I mean, I just wanted to say something kind of about the quarantine. So this quarantine was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I was extremely burnt out at my job, like just ready to pack it up and walk out. I'm done. So I've been able to recharge like 100%. Now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get back. Not necessarily at the place that I was at, but in general, just get back into what I was doing and stuff. So this was definitely like a good time for me to take this time and recharge. And
so I've been hearing that a lot from a lot of people on different ways, that there's some benefit. I'm not suggesting that we are all appreciating the limitations and restrictions, but there is some benefit to this collective downtime, this collective quarantining that everyone is experiencing. So Gianna, I heard you say something pointed, that you feel recharged. So let's talk about re-engagement, or once we go back, what are some things you think you would do, and this is open for everyone, that you would do different to ensure that you don't end up with that almost burnt out space? And it doesn't have to be self-care related. It can be whatever. But what are some adaptations you think you're making to, facilitate not getting to that point again?
I would say just to be more positive, even if I'm not liking where I'm at, and the toxicity of where I'm at, just to have that positive vibe within me to get me through the day or whatever I'm doing.
Okay. And if
I would say
ask,
just being positive when I go back.
What would that look like for you? How would you ensure that you keep that positive? Because that can be hard. I heard you use the word toxicity. And with toxicity, it's always like pulling at you, and
always,
kind of have you behaving outside of yourself. So, so how will you create the harmony you want in maintaining that? What is,
Just being calm, kind of staying to myself, putting a smile on. At one point, right before this happened, I was nasty. I had this face of just like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, like, don't even breathe my way. Like,
that's
I was
real.
nasty.
That's
And I really,
real. Yeah.
yeah, but it's bad when like your boss and like other people start noticing it, and you could like lose a job and stuff. So, um, putting a smile on, it probably is the biggest thing, because I was not smiling for like a good like month and a half.
Okay. And so I appreciate you sharing that, because it brings me to biblical context that we're called to be a light, right? A light in the darkness. And I don't say that so casually. Again, not striving for perfection, but being real and honest about where we are. And so sometimes the light gets a little dim. That's when that recharging needs to happen, or we need to kind of refocus on how can we care for ourselves in ways that's going to continue to allow us to illuminate in spaces and to shine and to bring the light of Christ. So thank you for that honesty, Gianna. I very much appreciate it. Anyone else want to talk anything about re-engaging into life, what it will look like, and what are some of the steps you're taking now or that you anticipate having to take to kind of create this harmony in life?
I feel that I was working too much, meaning not taking enough days off to recharge. Just work, 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 work. That was too much, and I
Okay.
had the days to take, so, just take a couple of days. Sometimes just do nothing. Just take the days and either do nothing or just do something I want to do. Because when you do that, it's just too much of that environment gets inside of you,
Yes.
and sometimes the people's attitudes,
They rub
and
off, right? They rub off.
so their attitudes affect my attitudes, which I should not have let happen. And this was a very good time to recharge, because I realized I was really tired. When I came, I was just tired, and for me, not commuting, because I have to go to New York, the commuting also is a factor, because you get tired. Not the job itself, just the commute. And so this was a very good break. And now, as we're about, well, I don't know when we're going to, but when we do start to go back, we won't be there the whole week. So I'll still be working from home, which I love that part, because for years they told us, oh no, excuse me, oh no, you can't work from home, got to come into the office, everybody got to come into the office. Well, when this whole thing happened, I have never seen anything turn around so fast in all my life. The whole company, I mean, everybody home. All of a sudden, we got the remote working. So,
yes,
I appreciate. I so appreciate it. I thank God for it.
So I even think of when there in biblical times, when there was always a decision to be made, or there was a need for greater understanding, people went away. I remember Moses going up into the mountains. Jesus went away from the disciples. Like, we have to recognize that at times there is a stepping away, and it may not be in the physical sense as is going away, what we might attribute a vacation or, something along that line. But there have to be pockets of our lives where we know we need to withdraw and leave room for those of us who have a relationship with the Lord, for him to download into us what is happening and what it is we are to be doing, so that we stay refreshed and renewed. Because I've heard the word toxicity, I think, twice tonight. And reality is that we can't bear that on our own. We can't just carry that and expect to be able to just release it. We need help. And our strength does not come from our womanhood. It comes from our Heavenly Father. So in these spaces, in these times of recharging and self-care, we don't want to neglect the opportunity to also reflect with the Lord and spend time with Him. So are there any biblical aspects that you include in your recharging and self-care? Or is there any tools or gems or tips you want to offer to some of our viewers in that regard?
Well, like getting up in the morning, first thing is devotion. I love it. I really don't. It's a habit that have instituted for a while now, and I really don't start my day without a devotion, and I don't like to be interrupted during that time. So during that time, if I'm getting texts, phone calls, I generally don't answer.
Okay.
And so in the mornings. But another thing I believe I need to incorporate is more time of devote. When I say more time, not only in the morning, but maybe in the evening, in the afternoon, just it may not be as long as in the morning, but just
right. A touch point, like a touch point.
Like, yes. And that will help to recharge more, so that's something that I could incorporate more. Okay. Which I have been working on now.
With the newfound time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so one of the things I've found instrumental is journaling. Writing down not just my thoughts, but how I'm inspired throughout the day, what I hear from the Lord, or some of my wants, or my prayers, taking my prayers and sometimes turning them into journal entries. So there's a multifaceted way of approaching ensuring that we remain spiritually healthy as well. Yes. Because I'm suggesting that our heart's desire is to make sure that we stay well-rounded, and that some of our lives, some of these significant, for me, the spiritual life is significant and necessary to make sure we commit to that as well. One of the things I heard you say, Cassandra, that I think was pointed, was the boundaries of not allowing anything to interfere during your devotion time. Does anyone else have boundaries when it comes to recharging and self-care that you've established that you're willing to share?
I actually never thought about boundaries for that.
Oh, cool. Okay, so that was a learning for you.
I'm gonna say it kind of sounds mean, but it's like, if I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do it for myself, so I'm gonna do it. Like,
right. Understood.
So I never thought. Can you go into depth? What do you mean by like boundaries on?
So Cassandra affirmed that during her devotion time, whether a text come through, phone call, email, we all have these alerts that are distracting. And I heard her, and I know sometimes I have to do better at that, because there are times where I'm having my time with the Lord, and the phone, like, it's like, it's really not, I know it's not an emergency,
right?
But the mind, right, is now totally checked out of my time with the Lord, and is so consumed with, was that a text? Was that a Instagram post? Was that the website? What was that? And so one of the things I have learned, and I'm doing better at implementing, is silencing all of the notifications. Like, that can do wonders for your mental, emotional, and psyche, just in general. Like, not having them on all the time, because they are triggers. It's a triggered response that there's something you need to attend to. Like, what is happening over there? It's almost like it's the it's almost like it's I don't know what the word, like, it's a tease. Like, it's like,
right.
You hear it, it's like, oh, now no matter what you were doing, how significant, how important, your mind is totally now shifted. What was that? What am I missing? Because that's the other thing. What am I missing in the world? What's happening? Because we become so connected digitally and socially that, someone shared with me, she said she was off of Instagram for 2 days, And she said she felt like the whole world passed her by. Like now she feels like uninformed and she doesn't know anything. And I was laughing at it. I was like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I went on. It was all this happening," and I was like, "But that's the reality. That is the reality." So although it may not be the 2-day absence for us, it could be those little pings and those little notifications. So thank you for
Right.
sharing that, Cassandra, because I know I definitely can raise my game in that, make sure that I'm more attentive to that. So boundary is any limitation that you kind of set to ensure whatever it is you're focused on is uninterrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when Gianna talked about going hiking, because there's no cellular service, she feels disconnected. She feels that she has withdrawn from life and that she has, I think you used the word, that you're free, that you're, you're kind of without, all of what it typically means to be connected in that way, to be connected digitally. So, so I think boundaries are important to safeguard whatever it is that we are committed to for our self-care and for our recharging. So, ladies, it's been a good conversation. I hope you've enjoyed it. Before we do end, I always like to give like a last kind of deep question to kind of get you thinking and then kind of leave the viewers with something to kind of hopefully cause some transformation in their lives, or for them to continue the conversations with, their spheres of influence, their friends, their families. So, if you could just choose any self-care routine, money wasn't a cost, time wasn't a factor. Oh, I see the smiles going up. I see the smiles going up.
Wow.
What would a day of self-care look like for you?
Wow.
So we
For
dreaming
me-
right now. We dreaming right now.
For me, it would be like a getaway, blue waters,
Yeah.
a massage, and food. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like all in one. Like
All in one. All in 24 hours.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Yeah.
Look
I
over
agree with that one.
Italy, the water, massage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be my thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would want to go somewhere with crystal clear blue water. I would want to go on the beach. I want to get a massage on the beach so I could hear the ocean.
Oh,
Because
those are
the ocean
fabulous.
is
I've done that
very
before.
calming.
Mm.
And I would like to be served a cocktail
Okay.
while I'm there.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I would incorporate a book in there somewhere. Like I don't know where,
That's
but I
me.
just see a relaxed state with a book in hand, water, sand, beach chair,
Yep.
some libation, soothing, relaxing, and I see myself by myself. So is that
Yeah.
integral to self-care? Let's talk about that if we can just go for a minute. Is self-care always exclusive?
I think
No.
for your mind and for you to, I don't know. I feel like it should
Each
be.
person's perspective. So
Yeah,
not
right.
to
I'm
say,
saying
but
for me.
so yeah. So go ahead, Prashay. You were saying that we're gonna go to Gianna because she said something.
I think for me, I like interaction, like hanging out with my friends and family. But for my peace of mind, sometimes I need to be by myself to let myself think, to calm down. No, I guess as you said, having boundaries. I need to just clear my head, or
Yeah.
I just want to be there and do nothing and look at the walls, just for me to be quiet. So I think.
If the walls could talk, right?
Right.
How was your day? Good. So I think, at least for me, I would like to be by myself.
Okay, Gianna, you had said no originally. Walk us through that.
I love being around people. I think it's like peaceful for me to be around people. But kind of like Rashay said, that like sometimes maybe like once a month, maybe once every 2 months, like being by myself. When I mean be by myself, like it's kind of sad, but like I'll just go in my room, lay in my bed, and I'll surf like Instagram. It's like sick. It's a problem. Part of it is a problem. And I'll just lay there and be on Instagram, but not for like 1 hour, not for like 30 minutes. Like I'll be up to like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like that's probably not healthy, but yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got.
We all got work to do. You are not alone. You're just the one that's honest enough to share it, Gianna, and we appreciate
I'm
that.
too honest.
No, there's no such thing as too honest. No such thing as too honest. Did you want to add anything, Cassandra?
Well, because I live by myself
Mm.
and I'm, by myself all the time. Well, in that respect, I don't mind. Let me give you an example. Like for my birthday last year, a friend of mine and I, we went to get a full body massage. So that recharged me. Like they were in a separate room, and so that recharged. That was a birthday present. So that recharged me.
Nice.
Are you giving hints?
We know what to get you now, don't we?
Right. Hint, hint.
So, that was just like so refreshing,
Yeah.
and that worked wonders. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys with the back massage, the massage period. And I love to read, as you can see in my background. I love to read, so I would like a book in there. And just, relaxing. I just like relaxation, and to have relaxation music.
Yes.
Like
Good
in the
point. Yeah.
background. In the background, yeah.
All right, ladies. I think this is a kind of a good place to kind of end our time, because I think I kind of want to relish in this dreaming minute. Like,
Oh yeah.
post-COVID, vacations are coming. Like whether it's one day or 1 week, we all are going to. What'd you say?
Yeah,
Week?
2 weeks.
She said too.
I'm sorry, I can't come in. I'm out for 2 weeks.
Right.
Right. And so now this is the funny thing. How do people think they're gonna be taking vacations when you've been? I mean, I know you've been working to some degree at home, but
That.
yeah, it's like
That's
how you-
actually. I'm thinking about that because my family, we're supposed to be going to Hawaii for 2 weeks, the end of August.
you should be good by then.
Yeah, that's what I mean, my parents booked the tickets already because they were like 500 instead of like 1,200.
Really, 500 is a steal.
Yeah, that's great for Hawaii. But in my industry, well, my boss, she never lets us take off for 2 weeks at a time. So I'm just gonna be like, it's like a 12-hour flight. I'm out of here. Nice to know ya. You want to let me go? Let me go.
That's bold,
I'll
girl.
take
That's
that.
bold. That's bold. Yeah, you better ask God for some direction on that one. Yes. But anyway, this was a really good conversation. It sounds like there could always be a part 2. But continue the conversation. Continue to talk to friends and families about what it means to recharge and the significance of self-care, because we all need it. And the more we do it, now we don't need to, overdose on it. We don't need to overly prioritize it, but we do want to make sure that it's significant enough that our wellness is what's at the center, that we want to be our best, to be able to do life with excellence in all the areas that has been entrusted to us and that we lead. Anyway, so thank you for tonight. Look forward to our next posting, our next session, which occurs every second and fourth Sunday of the month. So if you want to catch up, we have plenty of videos that are on our YouTube, Enjoying Life Fully. And we welcome, as I said earlier, always having your comments. So thank you to the participants. Be well. God bless.